Hey guys, it's Chandra here, and welcome back to another episode of Indirect Knowledge. So, we have a great tarot reading we're going to be doing tonight, and this is for Nicole. And we're not going to get into last names or anything like that, just to protect privacy and everything. And so, Nicole basically wants to know what future she has with a certain someone, and wants to get some perspective on that, some answers. And I'm not going to say what that person's name is because it's a little bit of an irregular name, and I don't want people putting two and two together, maybe that know her in her social circle or someone finding something on YouTube. So just to protect privacy, we're not going to really get into that. The person's name starts with a D, so we'll use the letter D to kind of recognize that person while we do the reading and everything. So I'm just shuffling the cards now. Just wants to know, like, if maybe they will build a friendship or become lovers or, something along those lines. So that's what we're going to do. So this is for Nicole, and it's regarding this person whose first letter is D. Go ahead and shuffle the cards, and now we'll cut the cards. Okay, so for this reading, just for those of you guys that haven't been watching the videos or kind of know what my process is, well, let me just give you a little background real quick. So I'm a monk, call it a Siddhak. It's a spiritual aspirant, and we live a very regulated, simple lifestyle. But when I was a small child, I had a psychic premonition that something bad was going to happen to somebody, to actually a group of people, and that they would burn up in a car accident. And so I was just a small child, probably about 8 or 9 years old. I had so much, like it weighed so much on me, just this premonition. It was just like a deep, I can't even put it into words, but it just knocked me out. It knocked me completely out. I was like, I just fell asleep, and I had a dream, and I could see the whole thing happening in the dream, and the energy was very, very heavy. And I woke up, and it was almost like a nightmare. So I ran to my mom, and I told my mom, I'm like, the whole situation, the whole dream, and she just reassured me that, it's just a nightmare, it's just a dream, it's a bad dream, everything's going to be okay, nothing bad is going to happen to those people. And about a week and a half, 2 weeks later and all, they all burned up in a car accident. And I don't like negativity. I mean, but it's the honest truth. I mean, it's just what happened. After that, I started getting a lot more signs of being psychic. Back in those days, they used to refer to it sort of as ESP. Like, you could get premonitions about things, or you could sense something, or so. Sent me to like a little ESP school. We did just all this testing, and it was sort of for development and stuff, and that was way back then. But anyways, as I've gotten older and lived life, those that premonition, the intuition, that thing has really increased and picked up. And so now, I mean, it's just, so it's just sort of like a gift, I guess, that I've been given by God. And so what I try to do with that gift is I try to give it to other people to help other people out. Now, some people they have different beliefs, when it comes to tarot, or it comes to this, that, and the other. The thing about the tarot, or the thing about all of this that I'm telling you, is that you don't even have to believe it. I mean, half the time, people don't. It could be for novelty purposes. It could be for, it doesn't have to be for woo-woo. You don't have to get all crazy with it or anything like that. If nothing else, it could be just practical advice, some good advice that you're given. So the reason I put this out there is because I just, I'm a monk. We have our spiritual beliefs, our religious beliefs. Of course, I don't eschew those onto other people or anything like that, or eschew my own beliefs, or I don't, try to eschew the beliefs of other people. I try to keep a pretty open mind, and but it is what it is. So I feel like God has given me this gift to share with others, and so for that reason, I do it. It's not about the money. It's not about notoriety. It's not about any of that kind of stuff. It's 100% just because I feel like God has told me, or has given me this ability, and I should share this ability with others, and that's what I'm doing. So I just wanted to put that out there. Also, I apologize because normally I get these readings done pretty quickly, but with the full moon and with some of the other things, like a vow of silence and everything, I just haven't been able to do a live stream in the last day or so. And so that's the reason why I haven't been able to connect on here. So I apologize for that. Sometimes it happens, and there's not much I can do about it. For any of you watching, if you'd like to support, our mission of spreading love for God to others, help the monks out, whether it's helping out, giving a small donation or something so that we can purchase food, or just for our basic maintenance. We take a vow of poverty, so we don't really get into the whole materialism and all that. But everything helps. So if you would like to help, and some of you have reached out before and asked, if you can help. If you want to help, and this is only if it's in your heart, because we don't want people to do anything unless it's completely 100% in their heart, you can go to helpbydonating.com. That's helpbydonating.com. Helpbydonating.com. And you can give whatever love donation that you would like to give. And it is appreciated, and we do thank you for it in advance. But you don't have to. And if you want a tarot reading, of course, we'll gladly give that to you. If you cannot afford to donate, I'll still gladly give you a tarot reading. Just reach out to me if you can't afford it via email or something, and I will definitely give it my gift. I mean, that's part of my service. So, anyways, I put that out there. But to get back on track here, really so that's kind of the whole situation. So now to give you perspective on the actual reading itself. So the way that I normally do this is I do a past, present, future. It's like 3 cards. It gives me a little insight into the past, a little bit into the present moment, a little bit into the future. I'm sort of calibrated into the future to about 3 months out. And based on the energy, like that heaviness or the lightness of it, that sort of is an indication of time usually. The heavier something is, the sooner it comes into fruition. Just like what I was telling you before when I had that premonition as a small child. That was a very heavy premonition. It was pretty immediate that we saw the circumstances, the result of it. If it's something that if I'm not picking up a whole lot, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It just a lot of times means that it's going to be pushed out a little bit further out into the future. And if that's the case, I will definitely let you know through the reading. Now, what I do after I do the 3 cards is I then go into the answer card developed around the question or the circumstances or situation. Then what I do is I look at the energy surrounding the immediate situation, like where you're at right now, but not necessarily where you're at, but where the situation is at. Then I do another card for where your mind is, kind of the attitude or your I sometimes refer to it as like the wish card. It's kind of like what you would like to see as the outcome. And then I get to the actual outcome itself, and that's the last card. The 7th card that I pull will be the outcome card. And that, used with the answer card, the 4th card that I draw, can give me a lot more insight. And that's actually when I can give you some more clarity as far as the outcome and everything goes. So I just wanted to kind of explain that. I will continue to try to explain this moving forward with some of the videos because I had someone, I don't want to say, I don't know if they got irritated or upset or something like that, but they'd asked for a reading the last video that I did, and I was going to do the reading, but I was actually doing a reading. We had some people chime in on the chat, and so what I did is I went and did a reading for one person, which I'd already told that person I was going to do it, and then that other person, they got a little upset or something I didn't feel exactly quite right about what was going on with them, and I really was going to do the reading for them, but then they jumped offline, left a little bad or connected, and I could tell that they were a little bit. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't want to make assumptions or judgments or anything like that. But I do want to just say that maybe it's better, like I've been advised that maybe I should just in the beginning of these readings just kind of give people a little bit of perspective about where I'm coming from and kind of what our purpose is here and what the intention is behind all of this, so that people are aware of it, so they're not just kind of in the blind. And so that's that. So let's do this tarot reading. So I did this here cut, but now since I've explained this, I'm feeling the need that I need to shuffle these just a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do. And I just need to zero in and concentrate a little bit on the question here. So this is for Nicole. This is to get some clarity into insight into the future as far as a relationship, a possible relationship, whether it be friendship, lovers, with this person whose name is starting with the letter D. D like in David, but it's not David. All right, I'll shuffle these. I'll cut these again. 3 card cut. There we go. Okay, so the future card is the 5 of Swords. Okay, so what the 5 of Swords, this card right here represents 5. If you see the Roman numeral 5 up there, 5 is really about change in numerology. Okay, so you have that. Swords right there is usually something to do with the mind or mental. This particular card in general, the 5 of Swords, is really a card about winning at any cost. And sometimes when we win at any cost, or we have this attitude, it's like, you may come up on top or you might win, but once you've won, you might not feel so good about winning because it's sort of like you did it at any cost. The other thing about it is it's sort of like someone that's, I don't want to say pushy, or that they're just willing to do whatever they need to do in order to, to show themselves the winner. If you're, like I said, if your focus is solely on winning your goals at any cost, eventually you might discover, to your own dismay actually, that the price of winning may not have been worth the reward that you received. So it's like, this is kind of the conquest card in a lot of ways. It's about winning at any cost. So in the past, like with regard to the situation and about maybe relationships or things in the past, it was sort of like, this is kind of like, I get this feeling or this emotional vibe about almost kind of like the thing that comes to me is, I'm going to make this relationship work, or I'm going to get this relationship. It doesn't matter what I have to do. I'm going to get my way. So it's kind of like saying, I'm getting my way kind of thing. That's just the energy that's coming into me. For the present moment, though, we have this card. This is the World. And in the Major Arcana, this is a kind of the last card that we come to. And so because it's the last card, it's sort of like everything is coming full circle. So if you look at the journey that you've been on with relationships and everything, this is sort of like completing that cycle. It could be the completion of a cycle before something new begins, or it could be getting to the end of something to where you have some finality on it. So that's kind of where you're at right now, wanting to change, like wanting to see things differently, but trying to come full circle with everything. In the future, like 3 months out, as like I said, I'm calibrated to, we have the Knight of Pinnacles. Okay, so the Knight of Pinnacles. So this is the future card. So the Knight of Pinnacles, just so you know, so knights in the tarot, they represent movement. Like you notice, like they're all on a horse, and they're like the Ace of Swords. He's jumping. He's going full speed ahead. This particular knight, this Knight of Pinnacles here, though, a little bit different. This fella here, he's the slowest of the knights on his horse. Doesn't mean he's not fast or that he can't get up to speed when he needs to, but he's really about crossing his T's, dotting his I's, making sure the details are taken care of. Very grounded knight, the most grounded knight of all the knights. And so this is in the future, you will be kind of covering your bases. Pinnacles are also about, pinnacles, or some people call them the coins. They're also about money. They're also about the material. And so this is about, groundedness, that kind of thing. If you have money, of course, you're feeling a little bit more secure about your situation. You feel like you have some options. You don't feel as panicked or as worried, like, will I be able to pay my bills at the end of the month? Will I be able to afford basic necessities? Can I afford to feed myself? Will I be kicked out? Or, any of these kind of things. So it's kind of worry, things kind of go away. You're more grounded, so you got a sense of stability. So with this particular card, it's material movement, if you want to think of it kind of like that. It's just really making sure that every detail is covered, and kind of taking this perfectionistic perspective on things, doing your due diligence. That's what this is all about. Okay, so let's look at the answer card now. The answer card for us is going to be, and this is really going to be the key to the outcome, is going to be this Ace of Pinnacles. So this is, I've just explained sort of what Pinnacles represent in terms of, the material. And of course, this is like money. Sometimes people think of finances and things like that. And this is the Ace of Pinnacles. So this is the newest. This is like the first pinnacle. So this is like fresh energy. It's fresh material energy. Inspiration. This is where you get inspiration for creative things or for new things, that kind of thing. The aces are really about new beginnings, though. Just like the aces of any suit. So this is really symbolizing earthiness, groundedness, things that are associated with matter and money, and but this is about new gains. So this answer card is saying that new gains are basically yours. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the outcome. Next card is really the next card is really the energy surrounding this world card that we talked about. So far, that's the only one that we've really had in the major arcana, was the world, and that's where we're at right now. That's a full circle card. Well, the energy that's surrounding that is this card right here. And this card here is the Chariot. The Chariot comes before the Strength card, but the Strength card is really talking more about, so this is a major arcana card, but the Strength card is really about like mental strength, or having like you have a strong mind, whereas the Chariot here is really about strength. It's really about more outward strength, or being able to handle things on your own, or being capable of doing things, and that's really kind of where you're coming in at, as far as the world part goes. It's really a connection with not inner strength per se, but just being able to take care of things, very on a practical level, getting out there and being able to do and navigate, your own course, that kind of thing. And really this card is about like the greater the desire to act, it's really the greater the likelihood that one will act. And that's what the Chariot is basically explaining to us. He's just saying, if you have a good desire to take action, then there's a greater likelihood that you will take action. And when you take action, of course, you start to get movement, you start to have things happen, and that kind of thing. So this is like this is in numerology, this is a 7 card in the major arcana. And a 7 is oftentimes about spirituality and about, things of a higher nature, importance, and different things on that end as well. So let's look at really where you're at now. Like, Nicole, and this is going to be more. This is like with regard to the world card that we are this coming full circle, but this is also really, about kind of what you would like to see happen with the outcome, or really kind of like what you're really looking for, or what your attitude or your thinking, whether it's good or bad, is around the situation with this person whose initial starts with the letter D. We have the Ace of Wands. Okay, so this is our second ace. We had the Ace of Pinnacles earlier. Now we have the Ace of Wands. Notice it's that proverbial hand holding the staff there, the rod, the wand, whatever you want to call it. And there's a new growth there, right? So just like I explained before, like when you have the aces, it's really about new beginnings, so you get a lot of this new beginning stuff going on. Basically with wands, we're talking about action. It's very action oriented. It's about a lot of times it's really about creative endeavors, like doing things creatively, or taking creative approaches around a situation or a set of circumstances. Maybe a new idea hits you. You want to become something, or you want to do something, or you want some kind of an outcome to happen. And so you're really ready to take action. That really fits into this with the Chariot, because the Chariot, like I mentioned before, it's like the Chariot says, the greater your desire to act, the greater likelihood that you will act. And this is really kind of the same thing. This is like you're excited, and you're really just kind of this, I don't know, you're like singularly focused on this idea or this person. And in this case, this would be that person whose name starts with the letter D. And so much so that you're focused, that it's really kind of narrowly focused your attention to the exclusion, and really the exclusion of other thoughts, other ideas, creating almost like a tunnel vision. And that's really, where you're at with it. Let's look at the outcome. So the outcome card is the Emperor, another card in the Major Arcana. So you have actually had the World, you had the Chariot. Now your outcome card is the Emperor. I'll let you look at that for just a moment. So the Emperor, this is an interesting card to come up in this spread. The Emperor is all about rules and laws and order. And, like some of us may be put off by rules or order or structure or things like that. Some people just don't like being told what to do. And in a Western culture, we do see quite a lot of that. But the Emperor is really, this is kind of a metaphor. It's an explanation that, rules and laws, they create order for us. And they're really these important ingredients if you want, a strong, lasting foundation from which to build success from. So the Emperor is telling us here, take control of your resources, because, there's a lot of resources that are available to you, things that you may not even know about, in order to ascertain or get to, the outcome that you want with this situation. And, like when people ask about relationships, whether it's, oh, hi, Daniel. I'll talk to you here in just a moment. Let me just finish up this reading here, though, for you. Nicole, so this is really the situation here. So the Emperor is basically telling you, like with regard to this person, if you want a more serious relationship with the person and all, there's sort of protocols and things that need to happen. We need to kind of take it simple, take it easy, not get ahead of ourselves. And Emperor is saying, you need a foundation from which to work from. So it's sort of like this. Like they used to say, like Rome wasn't built in a day, right? It took a long time. It's like the pyramids of Giza. It took the Egyptians a long time to get those blocks put out there in order to create the pyramid. But once they got it done, that pyramid wasn't going anywhere, and they're still there today. I mean, it's been like a long time. So, but things that are not put together well, or not, there's no order or structure to it. Those things, they're not around any longer. If you just slap something together, like a relationship, or you just kind of go into things without kind of, a little bit of planning or a little bit of idea on how to make things work, or at least being receptive to those ideas, things just won't work. So, you might fall out of favor with someone, they might fall out of favor with you, and, things happen. So what the Emperor is really telling you with this particular situation, like with regard to this person whose name starts with D, it's that, look at the resources that you have. You can use those resources to help you build a strong foundation with this person, if that's your choice. If you want a strong friendship, you can do that. If you want an emotional relationship that's more, let's just say less platonic would be a good way of putting it, or more romantic, you could have that as well. I mean, but you just have to kind of take and do that. But what's really the key to getting this outcome in order to take advantage of these resources, to be able to do that? Well, it's this Ace of Pinnacles right here. And we talked about new beginnings. We talked about, like, this is about financial or groundedness. Really, and I'm picking this up very strongly. What is needed in order for you to basically get what you want from this? And maybe you don't even know exactly what you want from it, but if you are kind of leaning in the direction of like, yeah, I really kind of like this person, or, I would really like to have a relationship with this person, you got to kind of see it more from this thing of like, you got to set a strong foundation. That's going to require time. Okay. So this isn't going to be something that's going to happen overnight. If it did, it wouldn't last. So, that's what I'm picking up. So if you take it very slowly, but you're very structured, you do it in a very nice way, this could be a very serious relationship that you have with this person, and it could turn into something very special, something that is lasting, and something that you would really appreciate. It's going to depend on your nature a little bit, because some people just like to rush headlong into something, and and then just as quickly as they got into it is as quickly as it falls apart. The same thing with the when we have this Ace of Pentacles, it's about new beginnings, fresh energy, and inspiration. And that's what the answer is to this, utilizing your resources and things for the success of this relationship to pan out. It's also about just, you don't want to be too flighty. Okay, that's kind of like the advice the cards are really giving. That's what I'm picking up. Don't be flighty. Be really grounded. You don't want to be a stable. You want to be a stable connection in this person's life. Now, that being said, that's pretty much the reading for you. What I want to do now is just kind of give you a little bit of practical advice that may help you very much. And this is just some monk advice. So, this is not coming from a place of like a whole lot of experience. Like, this is really objective experience, talking here. So if you serve, and some of you may have heard me on my soapbox before about this, but it's really love. Like, if you look at this idea or concept of love, whether it's platonic or romantic or, sexual, whatever you want to call it. Love itself, though, is like, to define it, really comes down to service. It comes down to giving. It comes down to serving. And, some of us, we would rather be served than to serve. But here's the thing. I think if you just, maybe even as an experiment here, if you just try this on for size, I think you'll be very surprised by the outcome, or what will happen. And I can give you some hints about what will happen. But if you love somebody and you want to serve that person, you really do it not thinking in terms of, I want this to be a balanced relationship. I want it to be even. You you instead of thinking like that, think to yourself, I would serve this person, or I would be in this person's life, or I would do for this person, regardless if they ever did anything for me or not. And just let it go. Now, that's easier said than done for some of us out here. But you have to abandon this idea that something is owed to you, or that someone should do something for you, or that someone should serve a certain purpose, or that they should have some kind of they should act a certain way or be a certain way, or fit into an idea of what you think the ideal person is. Yeah, Fire, I can. Hi, it's good to see you. Yeah, you can definitely ask a question, and I'll help you here and stuff. I've got Daniel here as well. I assume Daniel's still with us. I'll do something for Daniel, and then if Daniel, if you want to ask a question, you can. And then, oh, thanks, Fire. I appreciate that. It's always good to have another subscriber. I'm kind of new at doing this channel, and so I'm just trying to give back and do some nice things for people and all. But yeah, please, if you have a question or something that you'd like answered, I can do a quick reading and stuff for you after this. But it is getting a little bit. Oh, great, Daniel, you're good here too. So if you would like to ask a question, please ask a question. Daniel, you were first in the chat, so of course I'll read yours first, and then Fire, if you've got a little bit of time, you can ask a question too, and I will, I'll read yours as well. And but don't get mad at me or anything like that, because I okay, I'll check you. I'll see what we can do for that. But let me just finish up here for Nicole's reading. So, but anyways, Nicole, what I was basically saying is, like, if you just go at this with this idea or this notion of serving, thank you for that, then I think you'll be really surprised what happens. You see what tends to happen, even if someone's really, really selfish, okay? So say this person is more of a taker than a giver, right? And you're more the giver. So you go out there and you just start, like, if you really, truly love someone, just you're there for them, right? I mean, and it's not just when they need you, but it's even before that. I mean, if you want to go and do an experiment and you just say, okay, I'm going to do something nice for this person, not because it's expected of me or for any other reason, just because you want to do it. It's in your heart to do it. But always, 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 and this is real, real important. I can't stress this enough. If you're going to serve someone, a person, God, whatever, do it always from the heart. Okay? Don't ever do anything out of obligation or anything like that. Do it from the heart, because if you do it for any other reason than because it's in your heart to do that, to serve, to help someone, then resentment, those type of feelings and stuff will come, and they will, come crashing down, raining on your parade, so to speak, and you won't be happy, and it will just cause like misery, and who wants to be in a relationship like that? So, okay, Daniel, yeah, thanks for that question. I'll definitely get you a solution here in a minute. But anyways, Nicole, I hope that I hope this tarot reading has been useful or helpful to you. If you have any other questions, please reach out to me. As your tarot coach, I'm always here for you. I'm just picking up in terms of a timeline here that, 8 or 9 months is about like kind of where I'm feeling as far as the energy goes. So that gives you a lot of time for right now to go ahead and build this strong foundation to, start to, practice some service or helping this person or being in this person's life or really being a good friend. And regardless of what they do for you or not, okay? And if you do that, I think to give you kind of the hint here of what will eventually happen is, if you are the best person, the best possible solution in this person's life, I mean, just the person that helps them the most, that's always got their back, just you love them and nobody else can love them exactly the way you do because you're just like always, always there. Here's what happens. People get attached to things, right? In life, it could be anything. I mean, attachment, like material attachment, possessions. It could be a deck of tarot cards, it could be a fancy water bottle or something, I don't know. But the reason I'm pointing these things out is because if you lost everything that you own today, like if you lost all the things that were important to you, would you be a little upset? Probably, right? But it's the same thing with relationships. If you lose someone that you really care about, whether it's a passing away or if it's just a relationship that fizzled out, that maybe they cheated on you and went with someone else, whatever the case, you're going to feel a little bit of upset. It's because of this concept. If you can just look at it kind of objectively, it's called materialism. And unfortunately, in life, there's the spiritual and then there's the material. Okay, and you see that in the tarot cards as well. Material things and stuff, things that ground us, things that bring us stability, financial peace, that kind of thing. People struggle to find happiness a lot of times with those kind of things, right? But, if you're giving and you're doing things like that, people will be very attached to that, right? I mean, just think about it. If somebody did something really, really nice for you and they were wouldn't you think more favorably of that person? I mean, it's just kind of human nature, it's just sort of the nature of materialism that we are attracted to things. Really good food. Maybe you went to a nice restaurant or you have a certain favorite food or something like that you're really attracted to. If you smell it, if you see it, you want it, right? I mean, and so just think of it kind of in terms of that. Same thing with relationships. I mean, obviously there's an attraction for you with this person, okay? I don't know the attraction per se from their vantage point, but here's what I can give you the advice on. If you go at it and you're attracted to them and you say, okay, this is the person I want to be with. I want to serve this person. I'm not thinking of anybody else, but I'm just really in this person's life. And I'm making it a point to really do this. I'm not saying be crazy or anything or be a stalker or some crazy stalker person, nothing like that. I'm saying just, being a really solid, good person, being a really good friend. If you know that they have a need for something, try to fill that need, and do it from the heart, not to win them over to get a relationship out of it or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's not the reasons to do it, but do it just because you honestly want to do it. And you love this person, you want to help them and you want to see them have a nice life and you want to be there for them. If you do this, like if you take and follow this advice, here's what I can kind of hint to you. There's a good likelihood or a good possibility that this person will start to reciprocate. And I'll tell you why. They won't think about anyone else. Why? Because they're going to be attracted to you. Why? Because you're the thing that they're attracted to. It's just kind of human nature that way. I'm not saying that it always works out that way. Like sometimes there's people that give and give and give, and people, they're just not very attached to anything, and I mean, they're just kind of detached. So in those kind of situations, maybe it doesn't work out so much. But and by and large, like in the majority of situations, things tend to happen in this kind of a capacity. This materialism is very, very strong in life. And that's why so many people are more attached. They live their lives for a paycheck, for this, for that, and less about spiritual pursuits, right? Spiritual pursuits are usually like, we'll go to church on Sunday or something like that, say some prayers, have some nice church, and, we're done. Or Saturday for the Mass or whatever. But, that's just kind of rest of the time. What are we doing? We're trying to create something, we're trying to create a life for ourselves, whatever that ideal looks like, whatever that mental image that we have, whatever we're attracted to, that's what we're trying to get. And I mean, you can of course go after those kind of things in life if you want to, or not. You can choose to follow the spiritual and all, which some of us do, but not everybody does. It's okay. I mean, you just have to live the life that you want to live. So that's my advice. I hope that it helps you a little bit. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm always here for you. Guys, if you haven't already done so, please like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you want to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon if you want. You'll get notifications on your smartphone and that kind of thing. So every time we do these live streams, you'll get notification of those kind of things. So, but anyways, it's a little bit of a late night stream. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning here Eastern time in the United States. I'm here in Michigan. But anyways, again, thank you so much for that. So now let's move on for just a moment. So we got Daniel first, and Daniel, I'm just kind of struggling a little bit here in life. How to get out of a situation. Okay, so let's look at it. So just like before, oh, nice. On the East Coast too, New York. Yeah, we go to New York every now and then. It's been a while, but it's especially with the COVID and everything. But we've had some people from New York actually come here. So that's been pretty exciting for us, some of the months. All right, I'm just going to cut these cards for you, and we'll find out how to get out of this situation, give a little relief to it. I'm picking up some good vibes, so that's always a good sign. So let's look at the situation. So in the past, we have the Ten of Pinnacles. Daniel, here you are. Ten of Pentacles, this is the past. Ten of Pentacles is it's sort of like the legacy card. Now, normally when this card comes up, it's because someone's had a pretty good life. You know, they've had money, they've had a level of success. Things were pretty good, you know, for them and stuff. So maybe that's where you've been. Let's look at where the current situation is. Okay, so this is the Four of Pentacles. So the Four of Pentacles, again, we're talking about money, earthliness, these kind of things. Four of Pentacles is kind of, it represents miserliness. Okay, so kind of in layman's terms here, miserliness is sort of this idea of like, you know, I can't let go of my money. I can't go spend this. I can't do this. And so in this sense of attachment to this money, it sort of kind of enslaves you a little bit, keeping you from, you know, really valuing some of the more important things in life. And so sometimes that's an indication that we need to let go of things and not worry so much. The current situation, or in the future and stuff like that, we have the Devil card. I'll let you look at that for just a second. Now, I want to just explain this a little bit. It's kind of important because, you know, people see this card and they get a little worried or panicked, okay? Okay, so this is about, you see this chain right here? This chain can come off anytime. So this represents you in the future here. One of these people, you pick which one. But anyways, those chains can come off at any time. I mean, the devil's not tightening those so tight that you can't take the chain off or locking them around you. That's not what the devil is doing. The devil is about temptation. Okay, you'll be tempted in the future. And so this temptation, a lot of times when people get this card, it has something to do with drugs, or it has something to do with addiction, or it has something to do with like an attachment to maybe something that you shouldn't necessarily be attached to. It's not really that good for you or healthy for you. So, you know, I leave that, of course, to you to figure out. I don't like to get into people's personal too much. No judgments ever or anything, but it's really, you know, these are the things that will be holding you back. Okay, these are kind of things that could hold you back. It could be your own doubt, for example, or it could be disbelief or fear or just some negativity, critical thinking, you know, just this hesitation about moving forward, or even some limiting beliefs or something like that. It could all have stuff to do with that as well. But the thing to remember with this card in the future, when this stuff starts to happen, that it's all in the mind. Okay, it all originates in the mind. What you see on the outside, it comes via the inside. And so these are things that, you know, mindset wise, you got to kind of work on the mind to get it kind of cleared out a little bit. But yeah, it looks like, you know, it looks like life was pretty good for you once upon a time. And then, you know, now it's sort of like, you know, I have to kind of be careful with the money. I can't really just go do what I want to with it and stuff, as far as those kind of things, kind of holding on to things, holding on to what you have, kind of unwilling to share it or help other people with it, that kind of thing. And then in the future, we have this devil, which is sort of about temptation or about, just things holding you back. But the only thing that's really holding you back is just your own doubt, your own disbelief, your own fears, negativity, critical thinking, hesitation, limiting beliefs, all those things that I mentioned. Let's look at the current. Let's look at what the answer to this is for you. Like the answer, of course. So going back to the question, just kind of struggling in life, want to know what to do to get out of a situation. So the answer card is this card right here. This is the Four of Swords. Now, it's not by accident that this card come up, okay? And I'll tell you why, because you have that devil card there. It's about temptation. We have these other things about the past being pretty good. Now it's kind of miserly, kind of holding on to things. The devil card is sort of like temptations and things coming and whatnot. So you have, you know, you have a clear sign, a clear pathway here of what's been going on and what's happening. You get to this part right here, you see this Four of Swords, and a lot of people think of this as like, oh my gosh, this guy's dead on here. You know, there's swords. It's kind of like you got the stained glass and stuff window back in the back here. But it's not really that at all. This is really the supplication card in the deck, and this is about prayer. It's about taking time out. I always try to think of it or tell people to look at it in terms of like rest and renewal. You know, like if you've ever been to an R&R, like a rest and renewal, or like a yoga retreat or something like that, something where it's all about like just meditating, getting your mind right, all those kind of things. Well, everything that I just told you about with this miserliness and this devil and temptations and everything, and I talked about just a minute ago about the mind and things originating in the mind, the doubt, the hesitation, the fear, and all that stuff. This is the answer to all of that. It's to get your mind right and straighten out a little bit. But this card here, this is going to also deal a lot with the outcome card. We'll get to that in just a minute. Right now we've got this is the Six of Wands, and this is the energy surrounding this miserliness card that I was telling you about before. The Four of Pinnacles, the Four of Coins. This card right here, this is a victory card. So you're feeling victorious right now, you know, and this is the energy that's surrounding things. You've had some highs, you've been faced with some highs, some lows, some challenges, a little bit of competition here and there, but you're not only still in the game, I mean, you've really kind of proven yourself, gotten some recognition. You're really just, you're positioned yourself right now for continued success. Okay, and when things are in that, when you're in that zone and things are good for you financially and everything, and you're kind of just, but you're holding back, maybe you're saving money, putting it back someplace, you know, trying to play it safe and everything. In the future, a lot of times what happens is when you get to that certain point, you know, and you're in a good situation, it could get to the place where you take on some addictions, or, you know, you become stagnant in life, you know, and you don't really, what's the word for it? You don't really, you start to become a little bit too comfortable. Okay. And that's that devil card there. Answer, of course, to all of this is going to be a little bit of R&R, you know, it's a little bit of, you need to get rid of some of this thinking and stuff that's been going on in you, and just kind of relax a little bit, take a little time for yourself, do a little prayer, whatever you do, meditate, do some yoga, some breathing exercises, just some relaxation, things like that. That will really help you. But that's really the energy. Like, you're feeling pretty good right at this moment. You're on kind of a high because, you know, you've been through some things, but now you're coming out the victor. And it's really about victory and stuff, you know. So, and that's, you have some stuff right now. And so things are good up for you on that end. Now we get to the energy of where you're at and stuff. And this is what kind of your thought, your feeling, your attitude, your kind of where you're at with it. This is a judgment card. You can look at it. You got the angel there. You got a flag, symbolism, and then you've got you know, people coming up. It's like the day of judgment. What this card is really about is reconciling, making peace, and that's where this card is coming into play at. So what you would like to see the outcome from this reading and stuff, or from, you know, the things that you're asking the questions about, you know, as far as the struggles and things like that, how to get out of the situation. It's about reconciling things from your past. So it's really about learning the lessons that the past has to teach you. And that's what you're wanting right now, is you're wanting to learn some lessons. You want to move past some of your past mistakes and stuff and just become a better version of yourself. You want to really let go of some regrets, fears, anger, hurt, basically everything that really just kind of holds a person back from really being able to move forward in a positive direction. Yeah. So that's really what it is. I mean, that's what this judgment is really all about. It's about just having some reconciling. That's what you're feeling. That's really what's going on there. Now let's look at the outcome card. Okay, we have the Four of Cups. So you look at the proverbial hand there again, and it's handing the cup over to this person. He's got his arms crossed. You know, he's not really, you know, could be bored. He could just be, you know, I'm good, I don't need it. Or, you know, just kind of, you know, just kind of resting, or whatever the case happens to be. Let's talk a little bit about this card, because this is your outcome card. So the outcome card is really about uncertainty. So it's sort of like this is decision time. It's a time for turning inward. We talked about that. And it's really about going inward so that you can find your truth. You might be bored. You might be thinking about the future. Negative. Perhaps disappointed in someone or in a situation. Could even be about some kind of end result that you're thinking about. But what this card, this outcome, is what it's really, as far as the outcome goes with it, it's signaling. It's like a message. It's like a signal. You know what a signal is? It's like a turn signal. You know, what is it doing? It's alerting someone that I'm going to turn this direction or I'm going to go to that direction. But this signal is about what this signal here is really telling you is to pause. Don't do anything rash. Just pause. And that's really what the answer to this situation is pause, meditate, relax. When you start to get tempted by things and stuff like that, and boy, don't they come into our reality, you know, everybody. When those temptations and things come into your life, or, you know, they start to present themselves to you, what this is telling you is that, you know, that is a time when you need a little R&R, you know, maybe treat yourself to some yoga retreat or something. They've got one in the Berkshires that is really nice. It's called Kripalu Yoga Institute. It's like the largest yoga institute in the United States. Really, really beautiful place, especially in the autumn time. If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend it. But it's just about, I'm just telling you that to kind of give you an idea of, like, you know, really what the answer to all of this is. It's really, the outcome is pause. You know, things are going to be in a limbo state for a little bit of time for you. Sometimes it's hard for people to handle that, especially people that are very active people, or they're used to going out and working or doing things or making movement or getting out there and doing things and stuff. I mean, you've got, as far as the current situation, like becoming the victor, but you have those wands, and that's about creative energy. It's about going out and getting things done and making something of yourself and really go-getting, you know, being that. But yeah, so that's pretty much that. So, all right, well, I hope that helps you a little bit, Daniel. And again, if you guys ever want to reach out or anything like that, please feel welcome to do that. Of course, you can always go back and watch this live stream when it's not live anymore. This will be published here pretty soon once I get done with it. So let's move on for just another moment. So we got Fire here, and Fire's got a question. Wants to know, how does Brandon feel about me right now? I guess they broke up, and Fire doesn't know really what to do or really how he feels. Talking about Brandon, that is. So let's kind of zero in on that for a minute. So we'll just go ahead and shuffle the cards. Shuffling the cards is really good because it kind of gives us a little bit of time also to go from maybe one reading into the next reading, so that the energy and things that oh, thank you. I'm glad, Daniel. Thank you so much for that feedback. Yeah. Well, I try. I mean, you know, I just try to put out what I get. And I'll be honest with you guys, like, and I know this is going to sound a little maybe silly, but I kind of get in like a trance or like a zone state when I'm doing this. And that's sort of the process that I go through. I try to explain it to people, or to where it kind of makes sense. And I've been doing this for so long that I've become a little bit better at articulating things as far as like kind of what my process is for it. But it's like, you know, I don't want to say like maybe like hypnotized or like just kind of not mesmerized or anything like that really, but just kind of in the zone. It's sort of like I talked about in the last reading for Nicole. It was, you know, kind of like a tunnel vision kind of. It almost becomes like that. And so I get in this kind of state. I just kind of get really like hyper focused in a particular thing, and then things just come. You know, it's like, you know, and the more that I'm in that state, the more I tend to get, or the more I tend to pick up in the moment. But I won't even remember any of this, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, I mean, not just because I do so many of these, but just because who I am now, like when I'm doing this, is kind of a different than when I'm not. Like I have so many responsibilities and obligations throughout the day. You know, we have a very regulated lifestyle, very simple living, high thinking kind of lifestyle, so that when I'm not doing this activity, I'm actually so engaged in so many different directions that it's like, you know, it would be like meeting a completely different me. So I won't even have a recollection. That's one of the reasons I like doing them on YouTube, is so that if people want to, they can go back, they can get the information in that. But anyways, let's move on for just a moment. Let's, going back to Fire. So, excuse me for a minute. So the question is, this is regarding Brandon and really how he feels about fire right now, because they broke up. He doesn't really know what to do. And doesn't really know how Brandon feels. So let's try to see let's try to zero in a little bit on Brandon then, and try to get some answers for fire about Brandon to see kind of where Brandon is, what is he feeling, what is he thinking. You see, we have these keywords here. We have feeling, we have thinking, we have emotion, we have groundedness, things like that. These are all representative of things that people go through in life, and they're emulated here in the tarot. So we get a lot of that. So that's one of the reasons why tarot cards really work well for me, to help bring more clarity and things into kind of scope, as I'm picking up things kind of more naturally and stuff. I don't even need tarot cards to do readings, to be honest with you. They do help me, and they help give me a little bit more clarity, especially if that energy is really pushed out. It's a little bit harder for me to get things, but when it's really strong energy, I'm picking up things more. You don't even need cards anymore. But anyways, I digress. So let's get into it, and I'm just going to cut this again. Just feeling like this is something we should do. So, okay, let's go on. So in the past, and this is going to be about Brandon. Okay, it's a 5 of Pinnacles. Be just a moment to look at that fire. This card here, well, 5's about change, okay? Pinnacles are about groundedness in that. So it's a change in groundedness, or it's a change in situation. And if you look at it, it doesn't really look like a great situation. You've got paupers, or, poor people, or peasants, or beggars, or people on that end. But this is really, it's a card of misfortune. And in the past, it's kind of where maybe Brandon has been at. This could also be for you as well, but it's basically kind of like losing what you have. Maybe you've gotten to a certain level of success and stuff, and then something comes and pulls the rug out from underneath you, and causes you to, they say feast or famine. Well, this is the famine side of the coin. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down, and when we're down, it really sucks. It really feels bad. I mean, it just feels like nothing is ever going to be good for us again. When we're up and whatnot, we just feel like, we're on cloud nine, we can do no wrong. We're very grounded. Everything is going to be great. It makes us feel really good. I mean, it's always a good feeling to know that your safety and your security and things are provided for. In this situation, in the past, very well could be about Brandon, kind of losing what you have, and kind of losing faith in your ability to recreate a positive financial situation for yourself, or just a positive situation in general. This card right here is really also a reminder to remember your skills and your abilities, and to be able to use those things to kind of rebuild and create wealth for yourself. Okay? So when this card comes up, a lot of times, if somebody asks a financial question, for example, a lot of times this is an indication that they've kind of fallen on some hard times. Maybe once upon a time they had an abundance of wealth, and it seemed like they'd never lose that money, and then they did lose the money. And now it just seems like, it's like you remember probably those stories about the Great Depression, where people were jumping. You had these people in Wall Street, they were jumping off the New York, the Eiffel Tower, and all these kind of crazy things, because they were very upset because they'd lost their whole life savings, and they just didn't see any, they were miserable. They were depressed, miserable people that were broke, and they didn't want to be broke. And so if they couldn't have money, if they couldn't have what they wanted, to hell with it. They were going to jump. That's what happens. That's the past. Moving forward, so we get to the Page of Cups. That's the next, that's the current situation. It's our present moment. So Ace of Cups, or Page of Cups rather. Pages are about messages. Okay, so when you look at the pages, think messages. They're messengers. They bring us things. They help us. And cups, think emotions. So it's also about spiritual potential. Sometimes, it's the potential to have things, fish and everything. So this is really an intuitive message, or a message that creates kind of an emotional response within you. It kind of makes you feel something. And that's what is happening now. In the future, about 3 months out is where I'm calibrated, you have the High Priestess. Okay? So the High Priestess, this, you notice 2 up there and stuff like that. 2 is about union. You think of 2, you think of 2 people, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. You see the initials on here, the B and the J, and you have this person. They have the Torah, kind of a spiritual thing. You have a cross around the neck. So you think of things on that end. Well, the High Priestess, guys, gals, this is about the High Priestess. She doesn't really say a lot, but she speaks volumes. She does. She speaks volumes without really having to say anything, almost anything at all. She's really about intuition. She's about instinct. She's able to understand the hidden meanings and the secrets behind things, behind situations, those kind of things. What she's whispering to you is to trust yourself. That's basically the thing that's coming forward. So, as you get going a little bit here in the future and all, what is going to happen, or what is predicted to happen, you're gonna have to rely on some of your intuition. You'll be in situations maybe where that'll be important for you. You'll just have to kind of trust your instincts, and you're gonna want to kind of, not look at things so much on the surface level, but kind of look a little bit behind the scenes. What is the hidden meaning behind what's really being said, or what's really going on? And the key here is to just trust yourself. So as far as the answer goes, with Brandon, let's see here. Okay. So the answer card is this. Oops. Sorry about that. I got to do something here. There we go. So the answer card is this. So this is, the name of this card is Death. Okay. It's one of the cards in the major arcana. Now, a lot of times when people see this, they kind of freak out, or mentally they're a little disturbed by it, because we tend to look at things in terms of good and bad, right? Material versus spiritual, good versus bad. We have these polarities, and this seems to be one that's on the opposite side of the place where we'd like to be. We'd like to be living life, having a great time, doing this, that, and the other. And then we get this card, and it's like, ugh, what is that about? So death is also about transformation. It's not just about a physical, literal death, It really teaches us about the importance of letting go. Really about letting go of things that no longer work for us. And the reason that we want to do that is so that we can make room for new things coming. More positive things that are, to help us through life, to give us better experiences, to, give us more of what we want. It's also really about letting go of some outdated ideas that you might have about things, some beliefs that no longer work for you any longer, and just sometimes even activities that hold you back. Maybe you're just moving beyond something, and other people are stuck somewhere else, and you're just not there anymore. And so that's kind of what the Death card is really about in this particular reading. It's just really kind of encouraging you to kind of let go of old outdated ideas, just really those kind of things that don't really work for you. So it's not a bad card in this particular spread. I can tell you that honestly. So now that's the answer, but we'll talk more about the answer here in a moment when we get into kind of the outcome of all of this for you. We haven't gotten quite there yet. But this Page of Cups, I was talking to you about the emotional messages and things, the intuitive and things on that, and as far as like where you're at right now. kind of the energy behind right now is this card. This is called Temperance. Temperance is an angel. Temperance is balancing different concoctions from one cup to the next, trying to put things in the right proportion. Okay, so when you see this card, you think about getting the right mix. It's sort of like, it's sort of like a bartender. You're at the bar. That's kind of a crazy metaphor for a monk to be using, you guys. So forgive me here, but if you're at a bar, and the bartender is making the drink, and certain drinks have certain flavors, right? And to get it to be the best that it can possibly be, you need a really good bartender that really knows what they're doing, and that's what temperance is really all about. But in order to get what you want, you have to have some patience, right? You can't just have, if the bartender threw something together and gave it to you and all, it might not taste so good. It might not give you the effects that you're looking for. But if you're patient, you wait, you might get the best drink you've ever had, and it may just be like something that you might taste it and be like, it will never taste this good ever again. This is as good as it can possibly get. I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate that in life, I was blessed with this one opportunity to get something so perfect, to get it so completely right. And that's where the energy is surrounding. I know it sounds a little crazy, but that's where the energy is surrounding this Page of Cups, about this emotional and spiritual potential and different things on that end. It's about having a little patience. Moving on to where you're at, kind of, and hey, Roxanne, nice to see you. Roxanne, if you've got a question or something that you'd like answered or whatever, I can do a tarot reading for you if you'd like. If not, you're welcome to just hang out with us and kind of hang out on the live stream here for a little bit. I won't stay up for too long, and I do have somebody else. I'll have to end the live stream at some point, and then I'm going to come right back on immediately because I have someone else that I promised to do a reading for that I have to do that for tonight. And I can't be up past 3 o'clock in the morning because we have a lot of other things, prayers and things that we have to do tomorrow. I'm a monk, by the way, but Roxanne, it's nice to see you. Like I said, if you want a quick question or something, I can help you. Hey, Champagne, it's also nice to see you as well on here. Cool. So let's just finish up here a little bit. So yep, I do tarot readings. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, in fact. So, yep, welcome. You're welcome to hang out with us. Everyone in the chat, say hi if you want to each other, if you can see each other. I don't know how I've got this thing set up. I'm a little ignorant when it comes to setting the chat up. I'd like it so that everyone can just kind of see everybody else's and kind of interact if they want, but it's what it is. So let's look at the next card. The next card is really kind of where fire is where you're at with this whole situation with Brandon and everything. Okay, so we have the Ace of Cups. So this is a really great card as far as like where you're at with everything. If you just want to look at the card right there for just a second, you see the proverbial hand there, you see the cup. Cup is overflowing. You got the dove. That's always a good omen. Cups represent relationships, and that's what we're talking about here with Brandon. The Ace of Cups is about new relationships. Also kind of depicts the emergence of, oftentimes the emergence of spirituality or the awakening of kind of a new awareness of spiritual life or something along those lines. Sometimes your intellect may be saying one thing while your heart is saying another. It's kind of where you're at with it. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense too. And then finally the outcome card. Not surprising given the cards, but the Hermit. So the Hermit, of course, is, well, we think of hermits, what do we usually think of? Being alone, kind of being on our own, kind of doing our own thing. It's about finding yourself. It's about finding answers. It's about doing some soul searching. That's what the Hermit's really all about. The Hermit teaches us the important lesson of really retreating, having that R&R time that we talked about in the last reading. Taking some time for ourselves. It's really about this rest and renewal period, introspection, contemplation, really spiritual development, kind of reconnect with our life path. If you've ever heard the term Dharma is sort of like It's sort of like kind of what our mission in life is supposed to be. Like follow what intuitively we feel like the direction or the path that we should be following. It's really about that. So we have death, and death is the key to this hermit. Yeah, that's what death is really telling you here, is like the death with the hermit card. It's like you got to kind of let go of some of the outdated ideas. That's exactly right. Yep, you've got to live your life, and yeah, if it's meant to be, it will. You guys will be in contact again. But the cards are giving you the message. Like the message that it's really telling you is that right now it's time to be by yourself a little bit, to do some of this soul searching and connecting. Getting a little R&R in there. And but the Ace of Cups, that's the energy surrounding this. That's really, I didn't really tell you this part of it, but I hesitate to really tell it to you because I don't know if it's even really in your best interest or not. But this is the wish card. Whatever you wish, you're going to get. So if you want to be with this person, and you want to do that at the expense of like your happiness, or taking this time for yourself and to really have that, well, you can do that. And the reason I say this is because it's connected right here to this. You can do that, and I mean, you'll get what you want, but the problem is that in getting what you want, you may come to the realization that it's maybe not worth the reward that you receive. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, manifestation, exactly. So you can manifest it, but my recommendation, like if I was going to give practical advice here, just kind of objective, third-party advice. I'm not really married to the situation, so I can give it just kind of openly. I would just say, look at this as an opportunity right now to be by yourself, to enjoy life kind of on your own terms. And when I say that, I don't want you to get it in your head that I'm advocating that you should be by yourself for the rest of your life or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying for kind of a short period of time. Hey, Champagne, we'll see what we can answer for you here in a minute. I think what the cards are really trying to say, and what I'm picking up intuitively here, is that right now would be a really good time for you to be by yourself, because like the Hermit has a really good opportune chance. You got a lot of things. You had that in your reading. You had the that intuition card where you're getting a lot of intuitive things coming in. So be picking up a lot of things, a lot of spiritual cards like in that spread. So these are things about just like kind of, Okay, perfect. Glad you understand. All right, so I'll do a reading for Roxanne, I just now saw your message there, just kind of that clarifying question about, rather than just doing a question. Yeah, I mean, you can ask a question and stuff, and I can try to get some things, or we could do a general reading for you and just kind of, find out like kind of where life is, put you in different things on that end if you prefer that. Doesn't matter. But right now, Champagne actually has a question, and her question is Richard having regrets for his behavior towards me? If there is time for reading, thanks. Okay, great. Yeah, there's time for reading and stuff. We'll do a quick reading and stuff, and I will have to end this here. Okay, Roxanne, I'll do one for you, no worries. So we'll do Champagne's, we'll do Roxanne's, and then, of course, guys, I'll have to end the live stream, so I won't be able to do anybody else after this. But Fire, you are absolutely welcome. Glad I was able to help a little bit. Yep, overthinking sometimes is a thing, It's unfortunate. But yeah, you have a little bit of time to just take some time for yourself, I think it's real important, too. You get a lot of answers that way. Sometimes we just need a break from everything. Nothing wrong with that. And then, of course, things can always come back into fruition, but you'll come at it with a little bit, clearer mind and everything. It's always good. They have one of our spiritual texts talks about, it's in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 6. It just says, for one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. For one who has failed to do so, the mind will be the greatest enemy. And I really like that, because it just kind of tells us that, a lot of our problems, or a lot of things that we perceive, or that we get depressed about, or feel negative about, or have critical thinking or negativity towards, a lot of it's just in our mind. It really it doesn't have any, it doesn't bear anything on our day-to-day life at all. We just get too caught up in our thoughts, too caught up in our ideas, and that. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do our question here we'll do Champagne, and then we'll go back to Roxanne. Roxanne, we'll just give her a general question. Champagne wants to, just to reiterate the question here, get back on track, is Richard having regrets for his behavior towards her? Let's find out. So we're going to so Champagne and Richard. Champagne and Richard, okay. Do some shuffling here. Gotta mix these up a bit. Oops. All right, you guys. So, Champagne. So the way I kind of do this is, for those of you guys that are just kind of tuning in at this time of night, basically what we're doing is we're going to go past, present, future. It's going to give us some perspective on Richard and the situation, and in particular Champagne, and kind of where things have been at with you guys in the relationship. And then it'll be more focused on what the answer is going to be to the outcome. We'll look at the situation around the current moment, and then we'll look at kind of where Champagne's mind is, what she would like, what her ideal outcome would be, and then we'll look at what the outcome is, and then we'll go back to the answer card to kind of make sense of the outcome. So let's get started. So in the past, we have the Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups is, like we just said a moment ago, it's the wish card. It's the being able to get what you want. Things, if you wanted something, it's like the universe or God, or whatever you want to call it. It's kind of awakening things into your awareness, bringing things into your awareness. It also kind of depicts, like I mentioned a moment ago, kind of the emergence of spirituality, or the awakening of maybe a new awareness of spiritual life, or something like, or a new way of thinking, or new perspective on things. A lot of times it's about your intellect saying one thing and your heart saying another. So there's the practical, it's the logical, reasoning aspect of yourself versus the emotional, mental side of things. In the current moment is the Queen of Pentacles. Okay. Queen of Pentacles is, well, let's just think about it kind of from the card itself. I mean, what does a queen represent, if you have a king and queen, and the king, of course, is ruling the kingdom and stuff, who's really ruling the king? That's going to be the queen. And the queen is really about influence. Okay, so in the tarot, queen, think influence. It's about how you interact with other people, how you interact with yourself. The Queen of Pentacles, we're talking about material influence here. So instead of mental influence, like you might get with the swords, or creative influence that you might get with the wands, or emotional influence, like, having influence over someone's emotions and that kind of thing, like you might get with the Queen of Cups. We have the Pentacles here, so that has to do with like material, or things of material nature. It could be money, it could be possessions, or whatever. It could be real estate, whatever. That's kind of where it's at right now. So that's really kind of where you're at with things. And of course, this is about Richard. So it's about having influence over things. We also have the Queen of Cups. This is the future. So we have two queens here. But now we just talked about this a second ago. This is the Queen of Cups. So it's about influence over the relationship, or influence over the emotions. That's what's coming. So you will be the influencer for this relationship, having to do with like Richard and everything. You will be able to influence his mind, influence his emotions, mostly his emotions. You'll be able to make him feel a certain way towards you, however you want that to be. You'll have the power to do that. I'm getting about, I don't know, I'm picking up like maybe around, I was thinking like 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. But give me a moment. Maybe something else will come into awareness. I'm getting a little bit incongruency with it. But anyways, the answer card of this reading is the Six of Pentacles. So the Six of Pentacles. So you notice the balance right there. We see this balance repeated throughout the tarot several times. We have Justice, which has the scales. This is about balancing out things. In other words, giving to charity. You notice the person there with the wealth is actually giving it to others. He's excited and happy to give it away, and they're very happy and excited to receive it. So it's a balance of energy. Notice the scales. And it's a balance of material energy. Excuse me. So this kind of represents a psychological peace in a lot of ways. Peace in your relationships to money. Making peace with money. This card signals prosperity. Giving or receiving, you're still happy. You're still blessed. It's also kind of a warning sometimes for people just to say, don't give away the house, don't give away everything, too many resources, because then you're not able to help other people. And that's not really balancing things. Notice, of course, the balance scale in that. It's saying, you gotta kind of balance this out. Oh, great. I'm great. Glad for that. Give me just 1 second. I just have to clear my throat here. Sorry for that little delay. So that's really where that is. And so let's look at the energy surrounding this Queen of Pentacles. Now, we said she's the queen over material influence and that. Okay, so this is about judgment. I've kind of mentioned this a little bit ago. Someone else had this card, the Judgment card, and this is about reconciliation. It's about, reconciling things from the past. I mean, that's what the reading is about, after all. It's about, you want to know if Richard's having regrets, for his behavior towards you, and this is about trying to get things reconciled. That's coming from you. That's kind of the energy surrounding this Queen of Pentacles. Reconciling some kind of, material influence or something, maybe holding money over someone or taking something, or causing something on that end, something, or spending too much money, something, could be anything like that. And then maybe somebody blows up, or there's an argument, or there's some kind of a disagreement or a fight, or something happens. And then whatever that is, there's judgment for that. And the judgment is really about reconciling things, getting things to a balanced state again, getting things, back into a good space. It's about learning lessons from the past, what those lessons have to teach us. Kind of letting go of regrets, fears, anger, hurt, just really everything that really kind of holds a person back from, from really being able to move, forward in a positive direction. And that's what this Judgment card is really all about. Yeah. Let's look at where you're at, in terms of the outcome. Like, what would you like to see happen? What would kind of be like your ideal situation with it, or kind of where you're at, emotionally, or just where your mindset is, kind of what your attitude toward the situation is. And we have the Empress. Okay, Empress is about birth and birthing of new things, green growth. This card here, if you have a picture of Mother Earth in your mind, or a goddess or something like that, of creation or something, of materialism or whatever you want to call it, I want you to think of this Empress here as sort of that emulating Mother Earth in a lot of ways. It's about creation. She represents Venus. It's about like maybe birth, children. Oftentimes when this card comes up, it's because it's about like somebody's desire is to have children, or somebody's desire is to, bring into fruition something. And it's really a lot about that. This Empress here, she kind of, she's very nurturing, and loving, very caring. And that's how mothers treat their children, right? It's like they should anyway, right? Or that's at least, what we think of oftentimes, or most people tend to think of, just in a general sense. It's about like just, the selflessness of loving a child, of giving love and care and nurture and things like that to improve this, to watch this child grow into something great. And, and sharing that kind of that personality or that nature with everyone in their life, just always encouraging and being very helpful. And, but to, the Empress, she's teaching us, though, also a little life lesson. And that life lesson is really that in order to create something, you really have to nurture it. And in order to nurture it, you have to have patience. So it's basically about nurturing things with patience. Yeah. So that's what that's about. Yeah, I see that. And now we get to the outcome card. This is kind of the moment of truth card. This is kind of the, we always hope for the best outcome here. And there's really no bad outcomes most of the time. We have what's called the Tower. Okay, now I know that this looks a little alarming. You got lightning bolts, you got all this crazy stuff, you got fire, you got this tower that's burning up with this electricity and all that. Yeah, so let's talk about the Tower for just a moment, and then we'll talk about kind of the answer to it. Answer, or the key in the Tower. So the Tower card here, what the Tower does is it asks us in a lot of ways to kind of challenge our ideologies, our beliefs. Because what happens is we get caught up in our own belief of everything going on around us. Yep, Tower is a good thing, removing illusions, things like that, breaking down falls. Yeah, absolutely. The Tower really, we set up these foundations for ourselves. We become very comfortable with our life, with everything going on, to the point where there's not a lot of change happening. There's not a lot of, maybe we're in a, you've ever heard that expression, sometimes we become comfortable with being uncomfortable, and we sort of just kind of surrender or give in, and we stop following our dharma or our life path, or, kind of what our true purpose in life is, and we forget about those things, and we just kind of become in that, like you said there, we have illusions. And what the Tower does is it helps us to remove those illusions. Yeah, that's very, very good of you on that. And so, but when the Tower comes up in a spread, normally, most often, it's about like upheaval. The Tower just kind of, it's a very sudden, without warning. And it's like our strongly held beliefs and all these things that we've just been really like holding on to and just don't want to let go of. Really without warning, those strongly held beliefs kind of fall away and are no longer, and so what this does is it kind of creates a sense of insecurity. Yep. Then we have a partner come in to wake us back up. That's absolutely right. Yep. And so, but the answer and stuff, to weathering the storm or weathering the Tower or getting through this is really the Six of Pentacles here. It's about balance, and it's about like giving and taking, and of course, not over giving, but being happy with the charity that you give or the things that you provide others with, and also like allowing them to be happy at the same time. So it's about balance. It's about striking that nice chord. So, but to kind of put this into perspective here, so we have we're talking a little bit about regret here with Richard in terms of his behavior and things, and of course, Champagne, this will have more meaning to you than it does to anybody else, me included, because it's your spread of just kind of reading the cards here for you or helping the best I can. But what I'm picking up here is that, you're very influential. That's what's coming, is like you're getting, like I see it, and in the future you will also be. But there's that groundedness. There's the relationships, the groundedness. And in the future, it's really about being able to, I don't like to use the word manipulation so much, but it's really about just being able to have influence over relationships and relationship in general. So as far as the outcome goes and all, it's not about outcome in terms of, getting what you want from it. But at the same time, that tower comes up and it just says, hey, if you don't want to make changes, changes will be made for you. So it's sort of about saying that, some changes have to happen. And the key to those changes is really, having some good balance, keeping some good balance going and stuff, it's about giving and taking, and not always just taking, not always just giving, or not trying to take too much, not try to give too much, but just kind of striking a nice balance there and all. And that's kind of what this is really putting up there. Yeah, boundaries, absolutely. So anyways, I hope this was kind of helpful for you. Good, I'm glad for that. Absolutely. Now, we're going to do one more reading tonight, and then I have to end this live stream, and then I'm going to come right back on, and then I got one more person I have to read for, and then I have to get a little sleep at some point, because we have a pretty rigid schedule last month, so it'll... Yep, the answer is yes. Yep. Sorry, I should have been a little bit more straightforward with that, but yep, absolutely. So now for Roxanne. So for Roxanne, she just really wanted a general reading, so that's what we'll do. And oh, thanks, Champagne, for that. Yep. I try to be as accurate as I can be and stuff, but a lot of times you're absolutely welcome, my dear. A lot of times it's just about the energy that I pick up. Sometimes it's stronger than other times. Sometimes it's not. Just kind of really depends, on the reading and what's involved with it. So, but yeah, thanks for asking the question. It was great doing the reading for you. So now we'll go to Roxanne and do a general reading for Roxanne. So it's not questions in general or anything, but it's always fascinating, always interesting to kind of see what the cards have to say. And whatever kind of comes to me intuitively, I'm always happy to kind of say what I come up with. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I kind of picked that up actually from your card. I was kind of feeling that too. You're very intuitive, and when those queens came up for you, Champagne, I was like thinking that very well. I was kind of, there was a part of me that was like, yeah, she knows. It's just, sometimes it's so cool that we have some other divination practitioners and different things, that come on the live stream or something like that, or they might leave some comments for some of the other readings I've done for people and stuff to kind of help them out too. It's always appreciated, it's always good to get some other perspective out there. So I love when people give their 2 cents or, their perspective on things, It's really great. All right, Roxanne, so let's go ahead with your reading and stuff. And I'm going to cut the cards. And for this, I'm just going to, we'll do a nice reading for you and stuff, just to kind of get an overall perspective. We'll look past, present, future, and all. And again, this is a general reading, so just to kind of put that, and just to put that into perspective for you, there will be some meaning that comes from this that will be known more to you than anybody else. And so whatever comes, I hope it helps you in the best possible way. Questions are much less specific. So a reading like this is, it's just kind of like, we'll see what happens and whatever I pick up. Sometimes, we'll look at the energy and everything going around it. But yeah, it's always exciting. I like doing general readings a lot of times, it's just kind of fun. So, all right, so let's go ahead and do this. So in the past, our past card, we had the Knight of Swords. Look at that guy. He's just, that knight right there, he's just dashing off into battle. That horse is just speeding along. It's just, you got a lot of movement going on there. And that's what knights are all about, is movement. And so it's really about, like, with this, it's about goal progression, getting up on the horse, getting out there, taking action, doing what you need to do. Swords are about mental. So this is really about mental action, using our mind in order to get things done, to do what we need to do, going after your goals, full speed ahead. Not really thinking, just not really thinking about anyone else. It's really just kind of like you're kind of setting your ways with it. You know what's best. Just kind of going, kind of like acting without thinking, but just, because you kind of know for yourself what you need. And that's really what the past was, in the past, where things were. We have the present moment. We have the King of Swords. Okay, King's about authority. Swords are about mental. So it's about mental authority. This is a card about creating foundations, and that's where you're at right now. It's a creation type card. This is where, like, authority is kind of like, we talk in terms of black and white, what's fair, what's not. Also kind of like what's fair is fair. This particular king is about fairness, makes decisions really. This king is about matter of fact. Okay, so the facts matter with this particular king. It's sort of like, if you went to a judge and you had a court case or something like that, and the judge is there, he's got the gavel, he doesn't want a lot of airy-fairy. He's not going to succumb to your emotions. You can cry all day long, and this king is not going to be affected. The judge is not going to be affected. They're going by the facts and nothing more than the facts. And that's what this is all about. Like, there's not a lot of emotional reasoning with this. Strictly on based on the information that's presented. So this king is logical. This king uses reason. This king uses rational thinking. Doesn't use airy-fairy. Isn't thinking about emotionally, like, isn't like empathetic too much. It's just really kind of what you see. What he sees in front of him is where he's going to make his decision based on. It's representative of you, kind of where your mindset is, your thinking in that. So let's look at the future. Okay, interesting. I haven't had this card come up in a little while. This is the Two of Swords. You see a woman blindfolded, 2 swords across her heart, across her body. Got the moon there. 2 is about partnerships. And got the water, represents the unconscious. When this card comes up, it's normally about being faced with some kind of a decision. And when that decision comes about where you have to make a decision, you get the blindfold, and it's about intentionally, how do I put it? It's like you're intentionally wearing blinders. You're intentionally wearing that blindfold because you don't really want to have to make the decision. Decisions can sometimes be very difficult. Decisions can have some painful consequences as a result. But the thing is, and what this card tells us, or reminds us of, is that not deciding is actually a decision in and of itself. So this card is, the advice this card is giving you in the future, it's really about taking a little bit of time so that you can make the best choice for yourself. Don't do it too quickly, too rash. Take a little bit of time because, like I said, there's consequences that are... Hey, Alaya. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. So this is really, kind of the advice this is giving you is that, don't wear blinders, when a decision comes up, but do take your time, really think things through and stuff, like otherwise you might have some painful consequences that you have to live with, that you might regret, or, things on that end, that type of a thing. We'll get more into this in a little bit. I just wanted to kind of get a feeling or kind of a sense of, kind of where the past was for you and stuff, and where the current situation is about. This is, we're weighing decisions a lot of times here, black and white at the moment, but then at some point, there will be a decision that needs to be made regarding whatever is going on in your mind. And when that does happen, I'm picking about, I don't even know, like maybe about somewhere between 2 and 4 months, somewhere like along that line, that this could escalate out to, that you start to have to find yourself in this decision-making scenario. It's sort of like, it's like almost like the sense of like when someone gives you an ultimatum, right? And they say, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to do this. Or, if you don't do this, I'm going to leave you. Or my way or the highway. That's what I'm kind of getting at here. And when things are presented like that, sometimes people just have this, okay, good. Roxanne, I'm glad for that. Thanks for the confirmation there. But what this is about is like, sometimes when people give us those things, people sometimes tend to like resist being told what to do or giving ultimatums and stuff. And so kind of the tendency that psychologically people have to deal with is like, oh, screw that. I'm not dealing with your crap. I'm going over here. I'm doing something else. And the reality is that this card is telling you, okay, just wait a minute. Just calm down. It's going to be okay. Let me just take a little bit of time to think about things. And if the person doesn't want to give you time to think, well, that's too bad. It's your decision. And when you make a decision, you need all the time that you need in order to be able to make that decision, because you're the one that has to live with the consequences. And if somebody can't accept that, well, that's just too bad for them. It's your life, your decision. So you have to do the decision making and take the time for yourself is what this card is saying. Let's, like I say, maybe 2 to 4 months out, kind of what I picked up, but maybe something more is coming later. I don't know. So let's look at the answer to the outcome card here. Okay, so we have the outcome card, or the answer to the outcome card. This is really the key to the outcome. We have the Hierophant. Now the Hierophant, you notice that this is a 5 right here. In numerology, 5 is about change. But ironically enough, and what I really like about this card is the Hierophant. The Hierophant teaches us the importance of culture, the importance of traditions, the importance of religion, the importance of our own spiritual ideas. But more than anything, it's really about culture, though. Where our identity has come from. So like our environment that we grew up in will, of course, significantly play a role on who we are as an individual, or how we think, or how things happen in that way. Okay, gotcha. So the Hierophant, like it's a simple living, high thinking, love, our values, the vows we make. Um, these this is spiritual over kind of the illusionary or the material world, uh, loss and gain, those kind of things. But here's the thing about the Hierophant that's really interesting. The reason the Hierophant says, don't give up your culture, don't give up your beliefs, don't give up all of these things and go on a whim, because when everything fails you, like whatever your situation happens to be, whatever goes on in your life, I mean, you can lose people out of your life. You can lose friends, you can lose family members, you can lose loved ones, you can lose all kinds of things. And in life, it's about loss and gain, right? But when things leave your life, it's the values and the cultures and the things that make up your identity that allow you to be able to connect with other people, or new people for that matter, and have a relationship with new people, or have something that's in alignment with your values, in alignment with your culture, what I'm saying? So that's the importance. That's really the answer here, is like, don't let go of your true self. Don't let go of your values, your identity, those kind of things. Let's continue. So the energy surrounding this King of Swords. Now, this King of Swords, like I said before, this is sort of like that. It's about creating foundations. And this is about, because of the swords, it's about mental authority that's happening, making logical and rational and reasonable kind of decisions and that kind of thing. That's what you get with this king. Let's look at the energy surrounding this king, though. Okay. We have the Knight of Wands. So this Knight of Wands, we have the Wands, Knight. Wands are about creative energy. The Knight, we talked about that a little bit ago. It's about movement. The very first card you had was the Knight of Swords, and that was a fast movement. The Knight of Wands is about creative movement. This Knight is about going for your goals and that. So the King of Swords here, what you see is what you get, making rational decisions, that kind of thing. Being practical. It's all about practicalities. The Knight of Swords here is about creative movement, going for your goals, confidence in creating, in terms of your creative abilities. It's really a fiery energy. The wands represent kind of like the Leo energy that you would get from the zodiac. It's the fire element, and fire is like, one little match, and I mean, you've lit thousands of acres on fire, out in California or someplace. So I mean, it just goes so fast. I mean, it's out of control, and that's what fire really does. So this Knight, not necessarily out of control, but it's just kind of that kind of movement. Things are happening fast and creatively. So it's this Knight is really saying, have some confidence in your creative ability and stuff. Even though we're doing things from a very practical perspective here, it's doing it in also a creative manner as well. So it's kind of where we're at with it. Let's look at where you're at, like in terms of like your mindset, your desires, your hopes, your attitude, that kind of thing that's also surrounding this current situation. These are really fascinating. I never would have guessed in a million years that this card would have come up, We have the Hanged Man. You can just look at this for a moment if you want. The Hanged Man there. So some people think, oh my goodness, this person is hung. Somebody strung him up. No, it's not really that. It's actually about seeing things from a different perspective. So, I remember as a child, leaning back in my chair and stuff until or maybe I was on some sofa or some bed or something. But I remember leaning back to where I could see upside down, and the world looked a lot different upside down than it did right side up. And that's really what the Hanged Man is really all about. Teaches us the importance of seeing things from a different perspective. How the things we think are important seem less important on sort of the spiritual path, or on kind of the whatever that less rigid path would be. It's also kind of this thing of just saying, okay, this is a card of sacrificing things that are just needless, things that we don't really need anymore, and that's also kind of what the kind of what it is sort of the indication of. So letting go of things that's needless, that no longer work, that we don't really need a lot of in our life, but really just kind of seeing the importance of things, from a different perspective, looking at things just, being willing or open to, and that's really where you're at right now, is you're open and you just want to see things a little differently. That's a good thing. Let's look at the outcome. What a nice card. You have the Page of Swords here. Pages are messengers. Of course, we have the swords, which has been all throughout your reading for the most part, with the exception of that one wand. You've had everything mental. So this whole reading has been about mainly mental things. And then the one card that you had that was a wand was actually sort of the energy that was surrounding the mental. So it's pretty interesting. A lot of things going on in the mind. But this Page of Swords, as far as our outcome card goes, is it's about potentiality. Mental potential. Okay, this page, this messenger, would want us to ask a lot of questions, wants us to find out all of the facts in order for us to be able to plan and research and really learn new things. Just keep in mind that the sword is about the mental realm, okay? So it's all about mental things going on in this whole spread. So the key or the answer to this messenger, this one that brings one of getting the facts, being able to do some planning and some researching, that kind of thing, learning some new things. The key to that is not to forget who you are, not to forget your upbringing, not to forget your identity, not to forget your values, those kind of things. You can still have all of those and still move in a different direction, still learn something new. So it's not just because, new things are presented to you, it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily, forget about who you are or toss that aspect of yourself. Yeah. That's really what this reading is all about. Not a bad reading at all. I mean, I don't see any negativity at all in this. All right. Hi, Tower, or 2-for-1 sale. It's nice to meet you also. Aaliyah, hi. It's also nice to see you as well. Guys, I have to wrap up this live stream. I really would love to continue doing more tarot readings for you guys, but I have one more that I have to do that I promised someone I would do. And I'm a little late in getting there. And I said at the beginning of this live stream, I was kind of being kind of apologetic because, I normally get to these tarot readings and stuff. When somebody wants a tarot reading, I normally get to them right away. But we did a vow of silence. It's something that the monks do here. And so we were doing that. And so I wasn't able to get online. So that was the whole reason for it. So for those of you that are watching this, or that I've done tarot readings for and stuff, that had asked that I do a tarot reading and stuff, and I said I would. That's the reason why it kind of took me a little while. And so I know some of you guys had reached out and messaged me, and I just didn't even get the emails because on these kind of days we had the full moon and everything and some other things. But so we had some reasons that kind of took me away from the computer and that. So normally I can do this just about every night or so. And so, but depending on how many people want a reading and that kind of thing. But if you guys want a reading and I haven't been able to read for you, Aaliyah, or 2-for-1 sale or anything like that, my email address, if you have a pen and paper or something, and I can put it in the description below this video immediately after this live stream so that you can get it if you want, if that's easier for you. It's just my first name is Chandra, Chandra. You're welcome, Roxanne. Again, that email is Chandra, Chandra. Chandra. It's just like the girl's name Chandra, but it's pronounced Chandra. And it's 1 and then 0 and then 8, and it's just at gmail.com. So it's Chandra, Chandra, 108 at gmail.com. You guys are welcome to reach out to me if you want. And, stay in touch. We'll be friends. And if you want, you guys are always welcome to go to indirectknowledge.com. That's sort of like just kind of like a little bit of information about tarot and things that I do. Thanks, Roxanne. I'm glad for that. Yeah, it's, I've been, like at the beginning of this live stream, I was kind of giving my story and stuff. You guys are welcome to go back and listen to the story. I won't go into a lot of detail now about it, but how I came into being psychic and how I got a lot of things and how it's just kind of grown over the years and this, that, and the other. Kind of my whole story and kind of a little, elevator spiel or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, I'm just doing this to really kind of give back in that. And again, if anybody wanted to donate or anything like that to the monks here, we take a vow of poverty, so it's not even about the money. So, but just for basic maintenance and stuff, I mean, just to put it in perspective for you. We cook like lentils and things like that. So, it's like that 4-pound bag of lentils, I just, we can feed a lot of monks on that. And that's like about $4 or something like that. I don't even know exactly. So, but we feed community and we do food for everybody and stuff and don't charge any money for it or anything. We do a lot of service in the communities and stuff that we operate within. And that's really what we dedicate our lives to. And so this is sort of a service that I like to do. And of course, for anybody who wants to throw $1 or $2 or whatever you want, it's helpbydonating.com. That's, for donations or whatever. Don't have to donate. If it's not in your heart or it's not in your means to, don't do it. If you want to, you're more than welcome to. So, but anyways, that's that. If you guys haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you like the video. Of course, if you hit the bell icon, they tell me that you will get notifications on your smartphone or your devices so that you can, know when we're online. If you ever want to get another reading and it's kind of in live stream, I'll be happy to do readings for you guys. And but I do quite frequently nowadays, so just about every day or every other day, or just depending on how many people reach out and want a tarot card reading or something. So, but yeah, please stay in touch. I'd love to hear your success stories and find out how everyone's doing and stay in touch. And yeah, we'll have some fun. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, thank you so much.